June 19th, 2021, and we are here people for the SoulSpark games.
Progress.
Welcome, Jeff. My name is Lyra, and we're speaking with Nate over here.
Hi, Nate. Hi, Lyra.
A little bit ago. So when you receive the email, it will ask you to create your account. It's really simple to create an account on the Miro app because it is linked to Gmail accounts and other accounts. You have a limit on the free service of 3 boards and 16 people who can participate on your team. So that's why we're wanting to move this from a Miro board to something that would be able to enable many more people to get involved. But what this board allowed us to do is start mapping out game ideas along the lines of the character strengths and virtues and sectors of society and the SDGs and your skill sets. So putting all of those together, you can create a business spark, an individual spark, a topic spark. We have randomized wheels that you can spin if you want to just randomly pick one of these badges. And if you zoom in more, hold on, give me a moment. Okay, zoom. Each of these badges, except for the ones in the sectors of society at this point in time, has a direct link to a worksheet that it can be used in combination with building your SoulSpark so that you can start investigating and exploring, you know, those personal factors and how they relate in your life, the character, virtues, and strengths. So like if I click on social intelligence, I click on the little box on the badge, it'll take me and open up a Google document that it should. Let me know if there's any static or problems going on.
Okay, it sounds okay.
Okay. Now it wants to do something else. There are different tools over here on the left for different functions for text and bordering and creating frames and adding post-its and stuff like that. But anyway, I can't open the other page. That's okay. When you have time, you can actually go through on the website even and through the board either way and click on each of those icons and it will bring up a 4-page worksheet.
Okay. Now, is that something that you've developed, the Spark, the Miro board?
Yes, the SoulSpark game was developed by myself and Nate. He helped. He hasn't done his Spark yet, but
based on positive psychology.
It's all based on the concepts of positive psychology. And what I didn't show you is possible here, that you can on this board, and the reason that there are all of these duplicates is because when you have your arrow, your pointy arrow, you can click on an icon, it'll take and select that icon, and then you can move it over to a blank profile board. So I created all these frames here for people to add their own information, very simple information, like the exploration as you are building your spark. And you're building sparks to identify what matters to you, what do you care about, and how you want to relate to others, what your rules of engagement are, and subjects of interest, so that it's easier to make those matches that are coherent and productive, basically.
Right. We're brought into the SoulSpark Telegram chat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So a couple months ago, I was at the forest fireflies or the fireflies. I did meet Zeke there, and we had a conversation. It was just the kind of I don't know where the conversation. We just met. I've never met him before. I was there visiting a friend that was doing some music, and
Awesome.
we just had a conversation. I told him a little bit about myself. He told me a little bit about himself. He mentioned the what he was doing, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I'm very new when it comes to the coding. I took a class a long time ago in high school, but it might as well not have taken anything. It was so long ago. But I've always been interested in it. And he sent over a couple links with a couple things that I should read, and I actually just kind of started getting to it last week. So
Nice.
yeah,
What took you so long?
well, I can answer that
Zeke is
question.
an amazing guy.
Yeah, I can tell you, if it was up to me, I would have started doing something like this 20 years ago. But I've been so caught up in just the everyday life, going to work, waking up, taking care of chores, doing, working around the house, that I never really had the chance to really dive into this up until recently, where I kind of made the decision to dedicate time to this every day, even if it's just an hour or two a day. And ever since I started, I've actually kind of got hooked on it. So, but
Awesome.
yeah.
Jinx.
Totally awesome.
Jinx.
Well, we're glad to have you here, man.
It's such an honor, and I'm so happy to be here and to actually just to sit here and have a conversation with you guys right now. I really haven't done anything besides I'm still working on the first exercise on the on one of the Udemy academies or Udemy classes, and I've been getting along. I've been kind of pushing my way through it. Yeah, I'm just excited to be here. So
Are you done? What are you?
oh,
This is definitely what we've been faced with as our challenge. So there is a lot of information that we've compiled. Now we are looking to have it mirrored in different applications and different program language. And that has been a struggle for us with our computer issues and other things. So, we're looking at for collaborating with others to get this work done in a more cohesive fashion so that, we're not stuck in silos anymore. And that's why we put the game together, is because that's the way that we can say, here's a contribution that helps everybody. And you're building your spark. You're deciding how many hours you want to spend on nurturing the positive sparks of health and well-being and love and compassion, and then your passions. And when we follow our passions, we very often find our bliss. So
yeah.
that's what we want to help spark in people, is that ability to identify, adapt, and overcome the challenges, and then become all that they're able to be.
Okay. And now you were cutting out a little bit before when you mentioned that you were looking for someone. Did you say you were looking for like a nerd, or did you say a nurture?
Nurture.
Oh,
Nurturing. We're looking for nerds too. We're nerds here. We're definitely looking for more nerds. But
okay.
but no, it's about nurturing your own spark, your own passions, and following your passions, because that's where we find our bliss.
Yeah, that's funny. I was looking at, just kind of on the side note, speaking of passions and trying to find someone. I was doing a little bit of reading earlier today on Rust, and I was looking at the logo, the Rust Lang logo, and I noticed that one of my passions it's bicycles. I like to ride bicycles. I try to ride as much as I can. I don't ride as much as I used to, but I noticed that the logo actually had a chain ring, like a bicycle chain ring on it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Sweet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, we're all cogs in a machine anyway, right? Let's be good cogs and grease those wheels and
Yeah.
make it work right.
Now, is there anything like that you would want to maybe know about myself, or as far as like, before we kind of dive into like the more technical side of it?
It's all about you.
Uh, it's
Like,
not,
look at
it's
it this
definitely,
way. Being invited to the game is us passing the basketball or the soccer ball or football to you, and you are now QB.
of
It-
your
the game is now yours. You are in charge of the game, and you get to run it the way you want with all the different plays that you know and that you don't know.
looking at what's already there written in the rule structure. We have 3 different sets of rules for 3 different because this is a playground. This isn't just one game. This is helping to build up individual sparks, team sparks, business sparks, nonprofits, all these sparks, and enable free flow of organization through that process. And although this is just a Miro board, I hope that you get a little bit of the feel of what's going on here. We've taken a lot of frames off of this board because it took so long for it to buffer and load when we were opening it, because there's an extension out to team layout, which we developed through the Phoenix Fusion Forge team model that is explained in our material. And then also we have a identifier for donation pathways and funding pathways, and expanding out from there, and want to be able to provide the user experience that is shaped to that user, not trying to advertise and get their money, but shaped to them to get them engaged and activated and making positive progress in their own life and health and well-being, improving their quality of life and improving the quality of life of those that they care about, which is, again, looking at the ripple effect of individual to environment, self to environment.
okay. And wow, so now the mirror board, is that something that what would be a good like description that I can maybe, because it looks brand new to me, it's very foreign, but I do my best in trying to learn like new how things work. But how would you describe, like, because what the picture that I'm getting from mirror is like it's like a, is it like a landing page where you can venture off, like, if you're at a playground, you get the swing set, then you have the monkey bars and you have the sand box. Is that
Yeah.
how? Okay.
Yeah, like a whiteboard with mind mapping.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it's not like full-fledged, fully extensive like some others, like Dossier, but fills the void. And we chose Miro because it's a very common space for a lot of creators and co-creators. And you're
Okay.
able to export via .csv, so it can load up into a spreadsheet
Got
for
it.
export. The only downside is, like, with a free plan, their tiering, just like most of them, really fall short. You can't do a whole lot, so we have to figure out how to cobble things together piece by piece. So this is basically a prototyping stage.
Wow. Okay.
Where that's open for everybody to collaborate through.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad that I'm able to, listen to this and see it happen. And I definitely want to be more proactive and more involved. I haven't been for the past 2 months. I've been in the chat for a couple of months now, but I don't like to, excuse my language, half-ass things.
Totally cool, man.
Yeah.
Proper
But
planning Offense, piss poor performance, but we say properly planning produces practically perfect performance too.
Right.
The
Yeah,
main concept that we're trying to run with consistently, of course, is an open invitation with full freedom to express oneself. So getting away from the high pressure tactics that so many people are accustomed to, where they're told what to do. We're trying to flip the script.
We're not
Very
trying,
strong,
we are.
very strong in supporting individual autonomy and sovereignty.
Oh, wow.
So when you're when you're comfortable is going to be the right time, and that's what you should expect from us. There's no pressure, full gray space where you have full freedom to express yourself, ask questions. Please don't hesitate. You need to feel comfortable in doing this. That's something we found was not the case in a lot of different areas and groups, people we've associated with before, and we're not okay with that. We want to be fully inclusive in people and be able to bifurcate or segregate according to people's comfort. So like if you're someone that highly embraces high conflict and that's where you're comfortable, like getting into the ring with someone under certain rules, we want to have a space for that. If you're not that type and you're more comfortable in like a highly barricaded safe space where you really kind of have to watch your P's and Q's or walk on eggshells, that's most appropriate for some other people that just aren't at the level of, hey, I'm more comfortable in the ring, because everybody's so different. And
Yeah.
everybody has different learning stages of development and different stages of coping skills and resilience. And so we want to be very accommodating to that.
Providing all types of pathways. But you know, as with anything on a journey, if you're going on a journey forward, your pathway eventually leads you to a more peaceful, harmonious self and empowerment to do what you love to do.
Like riding a bike. What stages do we go through when we start learning how to ride a bike?
It depends who teaches you, but for the most part, you have your training wheels,
Right?
and your then someone standing behind you, take them off, and then you get your balance. Gosh,
a lot of it really starts with you on the inside, not even the physical side, and where you kind of require the encouragement and support on a consistent basis to the level of where you're comfortable with it to actually do that.
To maintain and to obtain,
you have enough confidence in yourself to take that step forward and get past the natural consequences of learning things like stumbling, falling, skinning your knees and everything, and not continually being afraid of those instances. The more you're able to build up your confidence in those skills and your abilities, what you're capable of doing, the less those are really an issue for you, and you're able to plow right through it.
It all starts with the coherence of one and finding the balance within before going out and exploring and navigating through the world better. And we, as a species, haven't had that manual written out for eons, but it's time to start writing that manual. And this is what we're doing here. We're writing that manual. Everybody involved in this process is helping to write this manual that's going to write the upside down world we live in through that engagement process, through that self-reflection process, through that empowerment of your emotional intelligence. Because when we have a higher emotional intelligence, we're bound to have a higher
aptitude for our surroundings
and IQ, whatever that means, kind of thing. So that's why we focus more on, okay, how do we find that emotional balance, and what is it in relation to these areas of our lives, not only personally, but mirroring out within our relationships and communities.
Wow. So now the board is a place, you say, where, or I should say, what do we call it? This is it the Spark game where we go
SoulSpark
and
game,
okay, so the Spark game, that would be you said where you would go and kind of express yourself, who you are, your vulnerabilities. Is that correct?
Whatever you're comfortable with exploring
Gotcha.
and essentially journaling out. Yes.
Yeah, because not all of it's on this board. Like I said, there's worksheets that you can do with this that explore the shadow, explore what happens when you're not feeling love in your life, and how to bring that in more, attract that more into your life, and how to attract it more into your family, and you know, those relations that you have. And as with everything, you know, it is an exploration. This is like an onboarding to life. You know, this is what I like to call it. We're not onboarding you to some project we're doing. This is your project. This is you being able to have that clarity. Because what we found was that most people have a hard time gaining clarity, especially with all the noise that's happening. You know, and when we are finding ourselves more alone these days because of COVID and other concerns going on out there, how are we going to proceed? How do we navigate? A lot of people don't know how to deal with themselves, cope with themselves. You know, there's some demons some people face. Let's help expose those demons and find the strength behind that, because that's where your empowerment and self lie. And these are just structures to identify what's most important to whom and how it is in relation to other values, providing the core values.
Wow.
And then you can go beyond. Wait. Yeah, you go beyond putting yourself out in exposing yourself in the community. This is your finished board, is you're saying, okay, I'm here, this is who I am, this is how many hours that I have, this is what I can do, this is how you can contact me, and these are my values. So you put yourself on the map. You can add yourself to one of these teams here. We have Coherent Loving Beings. That's the one Zeke was putting together. He also did create a spark that he was going to be working more on. So that's this one right here for the Coherent Loving Beings.
And each one of those squares, are those hexagons there? What is that, a pentagon? Yeah. Those represent a value. Oh, those represent a value of who you are, or a piece of what, like your description, or?
This one here is just a placeholder.
For like a picture profile. And down below that, where you see like the lion inside the shield and the magnifying glass, those are all representative icons of character traits and virtues that are found on the left side of the overall board.
The one that I started off with.
So you're familiar with the open commons that so many people are are working towards collecting and creating for the world community in collaboration, and the sovereign or autonomous profiles that are going to be necessary for that, correct?
No, I'm not too familiar with it.
Okay. There's people are going to want profiles, and the idea is to have it on your own equipment with you having the control over it, not some larger company that doesn't have your interests in mind.
Okay.
To where you can toggle permissions of use according to your choices and not others. Like people buying your data, for example, or how you want to contribute. It also goes into the gig economy, to where you're not really working for an employer, but you're working for yourself. And can you do that in a co-creative way, where it's not like small fine-grained jobs and that's all it's limited to under really strict rules, but
The autonomy of being able to keep your profile with you and toggle.
Yes. Yes. And some of this is being built on Catalyst Trove that Vincent's working on. So, I mean, there are several different social platforms that are starting to emerge, and we're looking to tie into them through this process, being able to open that commons so that you have those options of where you want to engage in what. One, then there's International Intentional Communities.org, it's IC.org. And then, so yeah, it's just about getting and scraping and being able to have it all in one place that's easily accessible by specific functions and specific focuses, because people need to be able to have that more easily accessible. This is nonsense, holding back information and being, so selective, when we need to be open right now and provide solutions to these issues, and provide areas where we can come together, gathering together to provide these solutions. And yes, I know I'm a bit altruistic here, because I know that there are some nefarious characters out there that would want to totally screw the whole thing up. But I think that we have enough discernment within us as a collective that we can make sure that that is not an issue.
Right.
I think we have enough tools. I think that part of the fear factor has been that specifically the nefarious nature of society. And, I know that there's more out there than that. I have total faith that there is. I've been talking to people for months, and yeah, months and months and months.
So that I have a little bit better understanding as far as what we're talking about now, with finding a place, being able to go up a little more north and collaborating with other communities. How does that factor into the big picture of what we're doing as a collective? And the reason that I'm asking that is because I want to know in what way maybe that I can help, whether it's through resources or just searching and finding solutions. What would the bigger picture be in that aspect, as far as
having the ability to meet up in person as we kind of caravan along, making little stops here and there, like between different intentional communities or co-working groups.
Okay, now would this be something like a route that you would like to create, to where you can be where you want, when you want, throughout the year?
Of
Yes.
course.
Okay.
Of course. And
Yes.
and the more we're able to build something like that up, the more we're able to extend it out to be shared with other people, creating actual foot traffic along with the grounded stability that everybody is aligning on.
Okay.
Being able to make that SoulSpark city really come alive anywhere and everywhere.
Wow, like a city with no land. Well, not no land, but a moving city. Like
Yes.
a moving.
Yeah, you could think of it as like a underground railroad.
Yeah, sure. Wow. Okay.
No different from that in reality.
Okay.
Just a lot more people.
And,
A lot more fun.
and what kind of, geographically, like what kind of area are you looking to be, cover, or stay within?
The
Or
entire US.
To begin with.
Okay. Yeah, we're working with other people internationally too, like over in Europe, for example.
Okay.
Norway.
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting to get working with some different schools, universities, and academies. Like one, for example, Ingrametta might actually end up joining us. She put a message in the group chat asking if it was still open. Is she's connected to some SDG academies like over in Europe and Pakistan, India, and China. So far, there's been quite a positive response after looking at our work and talking with us and other people that we've found that want to take a position in spearheading these concepts, working with other people and for other people, like Ingrametta, for example. She's an amazing bridge builder. She's big into the fashion industry and an ex-Olympian also. Like she has an amazing credit to herself in her history that she's brought in, as well as so many other people that are out there.
And her SoulSpark is actually on the board. You can. She actually made two, and then she has a soccer ball next to her sparks to show the relationship, because she makes the soccer balls, footballs.
Oh, wow.
In Europe, they call them footballs.
Football.
Only in the
Yeah.
United States do we call them soccer balls.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting, and I like the idea. I definitely want to see what I can do to pool resources, or I even just ask questions to find out, to get whatever's next done.
Well, one of the things I was thinking about, because you're talking about studying rest and stuff, is we're looking at creating kiosks that we can provide to cities and towns where this engagement and interaction can start playing out in their city, customized to the city. And there's going
different
to
forms.
Yeah, there's going to be, of course, a financial gain here. It's not going to be just all volunteer. For anyone that's involved in the creation of this engagement device and software, it's a part of it. I mean, there's other pieces that would be implemented as well, but that's as we're building these cities, the SoulSpark City Caravan, we're bringing people together to do exactly this. Start getting the sparks ignited in a city, in a town.
Through a bridging of between the spectrum of like nonprofits and for-profits, like benefit corporations, for example. There are lots of benefits that either both sectors have, yet they generally continue to stay segregated and siloed from each other rather than cooperatively working together. Even though there's a lot of cooperatives, even though a lot of the cooperatives are very limited in scope and how far they'll reach, and just focus on what they're doing rather than redeveloping and refocusing to streamline, as well as strengthening the bonds of networking and their relationships to overcome those boundaries that they might be afraid of.
Wow.
So on the technology side, not just physical hardware like kiosks in the traditional sense, but more bleeding edge and creative and fun. Like, did you ever watch Pokemon?
No, not too much. I mean, a little bit, but I didn't get and I didn't watch much TV growing up. So
There's a lot of really cool, fantastical examples. Yu-Gi-Oh! He had a wristband that would fly out to do his cards and stuff, and do a lot of AR type stuff using projected visuals, right? We've grown up in the age of magic cards and all that stuff. Harry Potter, Star Trek, and like the there's a siren going on and our dog is howling. So like augmented reality, virtual reality, all that kind of stuff, Web 2.0 into Web 3.0. The bridging space is kind of our primary focus. We're also working with Ed Lance of Vortex Domes, where he does like an IMAX type thing. High theatrical, immersive projections within domes. And that could be done on an AR scale, like with Pokemon Go also. Essentially like an inverted, where you have a projection onto the walls inside of an alley to, you hit a checkpoint, trigger a sensor, and you have these visuals pop up in front of you in this alley, and you can walk through it, and it can act like a way station or a testing space to your next stage in a quest.
Now, would that be considered extended reality?
I don't know. I don't see why not.
Good.
The whole idea is humanity as a whole is kind of just engineered in our DNA as explorers. How can we learn and incorporate the awe and wonder into our knowledge base, streamlining that into wisdom? And lending that out for the benefit of others. So it's not siloed within us that we don't express or share very easily, but essentially mentor others, whether it's direct or indirectly. We could leave breadcrumbs, for example, from our lessons. Say at some universities, there's a secret book of a certain group, like Beta Kappa or whatever, right? Left for the next left for the next crew to come in and learn from their experiences.
Right.
There are concepts of like a hall of wisdom. What if we had all the knowledge base of Nikola Tesla, Einstein, all kinds of philosophers right there, kind of like an Akashic records base that we could all run from and learn from, experience in different ways to better validate where we are and how things from the past don't need to be tossed away because they're old, but because of the value that it's brought. Can we focus on that to figure out what we should shelf
Or
discard or really focus on and continue to focus on, like, hey, no, there's a lot of value right here. You cannot throw this away. This is like absolute gold or diamonds or rare earth mineral, like a gem.
Now, when you mentioned that, because I'm trying to put everything or paint or see the big picture here. Now, you mentioned you would walk near something and you would trigger something where it would bring you into like that hall that you're mentioning. How would you view this through something like those new glasses that are coming out that you like I don't know if you've seen like the Google the glasses, the Google glasses or Apple glasses.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not thinking, I'm thinking, I just want to make sure that I'm thinking of what you mean. And that's really cool. So essentially you would, in the cities where you would have per se the kiosks, that would be like an area, is that like where the spark would begin? So you may—
It's an autonomous hub. It's an autonomous hub. So sure, Sparks could start there, but they could start anywhere. Sparks could be an Easter egg. They could be a flyer on a bulletin board.
It could start on a physical card as an invitation to a quest that you could join, or so many different levels. And the idea that we're coming from is essentially no holds barred, positive positive flow growth.
Become that mycelial network.
How many different ways can we pop in, portal in to that central core of human essence and ride that wave or that highway while exploring what our universe consists of and the diversity, while it really being focused on you at the core.
All right.
We
So
want to have
essentially,
a personal buddy, digital buddy that people can walk around with that helps them identify things that'll make them feel better if they're feeling down, or raise their spirits up. Music, events, activities, times when they're ready to be of service to others, like where in the city would they be able to go to help in like a soup kitchen, what times, all those things being easily available so they don't have to go through 50 different sites just to figure out what their next move is.
right.
To be better, to be happy. I mean, we all want to be happy, right? I mean, that's the idea. Enjoy life.
For sure. This seems like I wasn't I was thinking I would come in and it would be more programming, or here's ABC. This seems more like of a type of therapy, or a type of not therapy,
Personalized quality of life.
Personalized.
Yes,
Okay.
medical stuff like biometrics and stuff like that is definitely in mind and intentional.
Okay. And the reason I mentioned that is because it seems like something I can definitely benefit from, get away from the everyday hustle and bustle and kind of create.
We want to create positive addictions.
Yeah.
That build, like the exact opposite of what we're used to when we think of addiction. These addictions are primarily based off of our ability to cope and what skills do we use to do those. And so if we want to bring people that are less able-bodied, or able-bodied in a mental state or emotional state, how can we do that? We can take all the things that they're accustomed to on the downside and flip it towards their own benefit that is constructive.
Okay. I mean, that's certainly a great benefit of of this. That's wow.
We come from a few different diverse fields.
Yeah.
One of them is like traumatic brain injury, special needs, adults as well as children, different types of autism, different types of health and mechanics, like occupational medicine, for example, clinical care, mainstream and alternative medicine, all into all kinds of stuff. And
architecture.
I'm sure you've enjoyed a number of different types of sports, and
former athlete.
People from the military or law enforcement of one side or another, and hopefully you can see some similarities in how they blend over. That is definitely intentional from our end. The whole concept we're trying to help facilitate and spread is how can we embed not only ourselves but other people in a way that isn't overbearing or overweighting. Because a lot of people, especially in the advocate space, drain themselves. They completely burn themselves out trying to help other people, which diminishes their capacity to benefit those people that they want to, including just on a limited scope of like your own family. If you as a parent burn yourself out, not taking care of yourself, you're not as much of a benefit to your partner or your kids when you're not able to take care of yourself in the way that you need to.
Right.
It all goes back to the self-care and how we can make it fun. This is about making it fun so they're not dragging their feet in the mud. Oh God, I have to do this now. You know, oh, this
Right.
is healthy for me. I guess I'll eat it.
Yeah, sure.
The gaming community is a huge sector we're basing out of. How to gamify reality, all the different aspects of reality. The gaming community is freaking phenomenal. They've proven it over and over and over, and that it doesn't require extensive education in order to accomplish things that mainstream education tends to exclude themselves out. Only we can do it if you have multiple doctorates in this field or whatever.
Right. Wow.
So are you gonna play with us?
Yeah, definitely. Where do I start? Like, I'd like to, you know, I definitely, it's not in my nature to, you know, I'm more of a reclusive. I tend to, I used to not be that way, but the past few, you know, 10 years or so, I've kind of become more reclusive, not as involved. I still am to a point, but not as social as I, you know, once was. You know, I coach Pop Warner football here in my hometown. Um, I but I keep to myself, you know. I don't really, and I think I've been looking for a way to kind of express myself. I had something. I was in a motorcycle accident many years back, and it changed me physically, you know, mentally and emotionally, um, but in different ways. And I've had a hard time expressing who the person is after the accident. So I think this might have a personal what is it called, like a benefit, a personal benefit to me.
So amazing that you see that.
That's what we aspire to provide here. This is about you. It's about nurturing your soul sparks and how you nurture them to empower yourself to do all the things that you aspire to do. Want to be able to find your harmony within. And what was I going to say? I had something I had in my head and it just went doom.
It's important for you, having gone through that kind of an experience, to have the peer structure that's along the lines of positive enforcement for your own benefit. Because there's a lot of questions you're going to be asking yourself. If you haven't already, it's something a lot of people go through and should be expected. Every pivotal instance in our lives is an opportunity for us to second guess or question, where are we at on our path? Am I the same person after this type of event? To a degree, yes. To another degree, no, because you're not living in the past. You don't have an option to reset the timeline. You do have an option on how you're going to proceed with that, if that's going to be an obstacle or another opportunity.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. And you know what this brings to mind is that scientifically speaking, your cells are not anything like they were when you were a child. There is nothing the same about you today as there was back then. So this is even to a biological level of existence for people who are still in the three-dimensional zones. It's biologically proven that we are totally different. Why are we different? Well, biologically and scientifically, it has also been proven that the way that we speak our narrative in our minds, talking to ourselves and our path
And
engaging others is
biology and chemistry.
your DNA structure changes. Like you lose proteins in your DNA structure when you have lived in depression, and you can regain those protein strands by changing the way that you talk about yourself and engage with others. So it's all about your perspective, and that it has been psychologically and scientifically affirmed. So I mean, that's why we want to look at it that way when providing this space.
And another, you know, another fact about myself is I've never, well, not never, I'm not the type of person that would normally I don't like talking about myself. I think it feels weird, you know, talking about, even if it's just, you know, my everyday tasks, or I just don't, I've never really liked it. But if it's, I guess you kind of have to in order to kind of see it from an outside. You know, if I'm writing these things down and organizing it on Spark or on the charts there, it'll give me a better perspective on how I view myself, because I've never really put it down on paper and, you know, viewed myself from an outside, you know, or describing myself.
Yes.
How big are you into games?
Oh, I used to be a huge gamer. Prior to my accident, I lost movement in my right arm, so I haven't been able to. I don't game like I used to. But when Halo 2 was out, that was I was kind of addicted.
What was your level of agreement or disagreement? Like how well did you adopt or enjoy using an avatar?
As far as on any platform, or
like in your gaming, yeah.
Oh, I think that was kind of natural. The first time I made an avatar, I think I may have been in like 3rd grade. And I remember we had to create a profile for this online network that we had within our school.
Right.
And then for the Halo, I mean, the avatar, it's always been like a fun process, like an expressive, fun process. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
in the like, I used to be a YouTuber and hang out with a few content creators on there, and anonymity was a big deal to a lot of people, where they had a lot of concerns about expressing themselves or vocalizing some stuff about themselves with their face on camera. So anonymity was a big issue, and they felt that they could be more of themselves when they had some sort of barrier in front of them, kind of like, I'm never going to turn the camera on. So now I feel like I have more freedom to express myself with like less consequences. And so I tested that in a few different groups when I was using Google Hangouts. And what I asked everybody to do, and I was leaning towards a parentally guided Teen Titans type meetup with the kids, where the parents would start out as like a test pilot, right? And we're all going to go ahead and pick out our favorite hero character and use that for our on-screen avatar. So whenever your camera's off, you've got Superman or Spider-Man, whatever kind of logo or picture background you want up. Kind of like what we have here, where you see a shield with the logo in it.
Yep.
So you are speaking as Xavier or Wolverine or Superman or Batman or the
Wonder
Hulk,
Woman.
whoever you identify most with. What do you think about that concept? And would that be helpful to you? Do you not feel that that would be helpful to you? How do you think that might be helpful or not helpful for other people, especially in exploring these really deep areas that a lot of people have shied away from or may not be comfortable talking about themselves or expressing themselves to?
Right. And I've actually never really enjoyed being on camera or putting myself out there. I don't think ever at all. It is like something that I have kind of thought about where I kind of wish I was better at it, or, you know, like, oh, there's you know, like I would love to be able to go out to an audition, but that's not in my nature. So I never would do it, but the idea sounds cool. I think having the avatars, for me, it was definitely some sort of like I mean, yeah, I'd prefer that over live or picture or video. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, at that time when I was running with that test, I was using the Justice League or the JLU as an example, because we've seen it in the cartoons and in the movies where they're talking to each other remotely through the different screens, right? Batman does it, you know, all these different heroes do it. There's nothing limiting us from doing it ourselves. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know how much you would enjoy it or others might, but I want to make it very clear you are perfectly invited to do that, and we will not take offense whatsoever if you decide you want to do that in talking with us, any kind of group meetings that we hold. We're actually going to encourage you to do it that way if that's what you want.
Okay.
We want you to be in your happy state as much as we can help facilitate.
Sure. Yeah. So what's next? Create an avatar?
What's next is I would like you to please spend some time on the board, read the first set of rules that's up there on the left, and start adding some information to one of those frames that I shared with that light blue and the questions. All right.
Okay.
And then, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm gonna write this down here. Just a couple notes. Now, where do? Yeah, bear with me.
There are some sample avatars Lyra picked out on the far left corner. Going, I think they're laid out vertically.
Yeah.
Like there's a flaming fist.
And a phoenix and a dragon and the cave, the heart cave.
They're just samples. So you could use one of those if you like. You can pick something else. You could use real life picture. It's up to you.
Okay. And so this is on the, what is it, a website? There's a link to get there?
Okay. I found a link for a whole bunch of avatars that I think I put on the board somewhere, but I forget because I've been so busy putting all this other stuff together. So if you happen to find that link or any link that would be helpful for the board, any suggestions, please put them on a post-it in your frame. Okay, so that we know where it came from. And that is the link there. You should be able to get onto the board. Again, you might have to go through and check your email and accept the invite.
Oh, sure.
It doesn't come from Great Works Alliance. It comes from Miro. And it'll be an invitation to be an editor on a board. And it'll be the Phoenix Fusion Forge team layout, I believe.
Okay, so I'll pretty much like start working on my Spark there, or will I find someone's? Okay. Yeah. And now my Spark will be something that kind of describes myself in the different areas that you mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Like I said, just make sure to read that first set of rules there, right below the star next to the neural network.
Okay. Okay, so I'll do that. Not a problem. That sounds good. So I'll get started with that, and then just kind of we'll maybe just go from there, or.
we'd like to be able to meet with you in a week or two and have you share a little bit about your spark, if that would be all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put it on my calendar right now. Do you have a time, or you want to just play it by ear? You want to set a date now?
I'd like you to take some time first and see what kind of time frame you might want to go for. So let's just play it by ear right now, because
Okay.
there's a lot of information there and a lot to think about, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm still at the stage where I'm still wrapping my head around the initial conversation that Zeke and I had, and then just kind of familiarizing myself with what's going on. So I'm still there. I'm still, my head's still wrapping around everything. I'm still learning as I go, I guess.
Of course, we all are. And, you know, it's like, don't be shy. Ask us questions if you have any, you know. We're usually available, and just put them in the SoulSpark chat and we'll be able to get right back to you.
That's awesome.
You're awesome, man. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you
And
for joining us and being a part of the underground. It's the underground SoulSpark City. Here we come.
and it's Lyra, right? Lyra?
Lyra.
Lyra. Okay, Lyra and Nate.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys, you know, taking your time out and going over that with me. It gives me an idea of kind of where to go and what to do next.
We hope that it'll give you a little bit of grounding to be able to take on these challenges, because it's a lot. We're all seeing so much happen so quickly right now, and there's some bad things going on out there that we're all getting these information downloads to counteract. Let's start becoming that force of interference pattern of good. You know, that interference wave pattern. I don't know how much you know about quantum physics, but we go into that depth even, into that rabbit hole.
Just take it one step at a time. Feel free to DM us or do it in the chat, however you're comfortable at any time. There's no wrong question or anything like that going on. You know, this is all about helping each other. And I just DM'd you our introductory video that is a great companion to the SoulSpark game, I think you'll see. And then I also sent you the link to our player's manual. Any constructive criticism you've got for that, we'd love to do that, hear all about it, because the whole concept is it's not about us, it's about what works on a broad scale, openly adoptable, and able to be refined. We build it up to get torn down and rebuilt even stronger for every iteration or ideation, like continuous development.
Sure. Now, you cut out just a little bit, but you did say any criticisms that.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
Yes,
Yes.
please. Totally welcome.
We are not bunnies. We can take it.
Sure.
We want it. We want to make this like impenetrable. This is that force. Welcome to the source force.
Checkmate for good.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Well, you have a great afternoon. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Just give us a ping. And
yeah, absolutely.
We'll be here.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys again, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. So,
well, thank you for being you.
Thanks, and thank you guys again.
You are appreciated.